Next, a tale of two children, both are 4 years old, both suffering a rare degenerative disorder which slowly eats away at their muscles and limits their mobility. But the two children live in different countries, one in Australia, the other here in New Zealand, and that means their lives are vastly different. One has access to a life-changing but expensive drug, which has seen them go from strength to strength over the past 12 months. The other, living in Waikato, is slowly losing muscle movement and has recently been fitted for a power wheelchair. Kiwi parents say denying children the drugs here is denying them a chance at life, and Pharmac needs to act immediately to make them available. Our reporter Nita Blake-Persen and cameraman Dom Thomas have the story.
Lincoln Woodmass and Ivy Old have massive smiles on their wee faces as they bounce on this backyard trampoline. Lincoln and Ivy are both 4 years old, and in many ways they've had parallel Kiwi childhoods, both clever, bubbly and lovely kids, even born just one day apart. They also both have spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA, a childhood version of motor neuron disease which causes muscles to waste away, leaving those affected with limited mobility. Ivy's parents, Belinda and Gavin, had never heard of the rare condition before.
Ivy sort of just started falling away from her peers at around 11 months. We just noticed that she wasn't moving the same, needing a lot of effort to get up and just kind of observing life rather than participating.
It was a similar story for Lincoln's parents, Tanya and Regan.
Lincoln reached every milestone before time. Even
he was advanced, yeah.
Yeah, he crawled before time, he walked before time, like he did everything well before time, just like his brother and sister did. And so we had no idea until the daycare brought it to our attention and said something wasn't quite right.
Both children were diagnosed with the genetic condition around the time they turned 2.
But Lincoln and Ivy are both 4. Lincoln was born the day after Ivy, and then he was diagnosed the day after Ivy. So we knew of this little person who was going through the same thing as us.
But the impact SMA will have on the children's respective lives is vastly different.
Really, up until we started treatment, there was a sort of a parallel, in that we've got 2 children with SMA type 3 and both will experience a decline, and who knows when that will start and how severe that will be and how quickly. Now all of a sudden our lives have gone on a complete tangent. We've got Ivy who's getting stronger. We see many miracles in every day. And then there's Lincoln's family who will be experiencing him getting weaker over time, and there'll be a point where Ivy's abilities will overtake Lincoln's, and that's, for Lincoln's family, devastating.
That's because Ivy has been able to access the life-changing drug Spinraza. Spinraza is available in 50 countries around the world, including Australia, where Ivy and her family moved 12 months ago to access it. Belinda Old is Australian, and her girls, who both have SMA, have dual citizenship. Back across the ditch, they're thriving.
Since getting treatment, everything's changed.
Her personal best now for walking 7 times what it was before treatment. She kicks and kicks and kicks like a little mermaid and can keep up with all of the children in her swimming class, so she's progressing like every other child. She can climb up onto the table, she can toilet herself independently, she climbs in and out of the bath like any other child.
The Olds were back in New Zealand this week visiting family and celebrating the 1-year anniversary of accessing Spinraza in Australia. Catching up with their wider SMA family, including Lincoln, is bittersweet.
We feel like so fortunate to have this opportunity. We're so lucky that our girls are the ones.
Yeah.
But then we feel so guilty that there's children here that we've met who aren't having these opportunities, and it's heartbreaking. And I don't feel like we can ever truly celebrate wholeheartedly until these children get treatment.
Lincoln's parents, Tanya and Regan, are ecstatic about how well Ivy and her sister Olive are doing, but say it highlights the awful situation they face here, where Spinraza isn't funded.
It brings a tear to my eye just seeing that, from little girls that, were worse than Lincoln is now, to be able to walk around and their own steam is just fantastic. That's excellent. What the hell do we have to do to get that same sort of treatment? That's, of course we'll do what we have to do to make it happen.
Spinraza is the only treatment out there for SMA, and users say it's something of a wonder drug. It halts muscle deterioration and can also bring back lost mobility. It has the greatest impact if used as early as possible, and Lincoln's dad Regan says they're racing against time.
We're at a crossroads for Linky. Like I said, he's being sized up for his power chair, but if we somehow manage to, get him Spinraza, we could halt it there, maybe get some gains, and that would be everything. It's a horrible disease. It robs you of your ability to do all the cool things in life.
Tanya's seen the effect SMA has and is terrified for her son.
But people with SMA are highly intelligent. So they know what's going on. They just can't do anything about it.
It's trapped inside their own body, really.
Yeah. They've had scoliosis, their lungs have collapsed, they have difficulty eating, breathing, swallowing. They can't hold their own heads up. It scares the living daylights out of me to think about what could be.
There are 4 different types of SMA. Lincoln and Ivy both have type 3, putting them at the milder end of the spectrum. Babies with type 1 aren't expected to live more than 18 months. Here in New Zealand, fewer than 100 people have the condition, and this month they work to get more than 15,000 people to sign a petition calling on Pharmac to fund Spinraza. Earlier this year, Pharmac deferred a decision on funding the drug for under 18-year-olds because it is awaiting further evidence. Tanya Woodmath says other countries haven't needed to wait.
Why won't you give our child and every other sufferer a chance to access Spinraza? Why are you saying you need more evidence when it is given in over 50 different countries to 7,500 people? Why do you say you need more clinical evidence? That's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace.
Overseas estimates put the cost of Spinraza at around $1 million per person per year. But Gavin Old says that's a totally arbitrary figure, as Pharmac hasn't engaged in any price negotiations.
And the $1 million is for the first year in America. It's a completely different space over there. The insurance companies pay for their medication in America. Our understanding is that drug companies launch there first, and then as they sprawl out to other countries, the price gets negotiated and comes down. So sometimes decisions can't be purely done on a cost-benefit analysis. Ethically, these children have rights.
Pharmac says it's in regular contact with Spinraza's supplier, and if they get more evidence from them before their next subcommittee meeting in September, it could be assessed then. But Tanya Woodmath says time is not on their side.
Warms our hearts to see the impact Spinraza has had, and at the same time it makes your heart hurt, because it makes you want to fight 10 times harder knowing how well this treatment is doing.
It's there, it works.
Yeah. We've seen it firsthand, what it can do, and we want it.
The Woodmass and the Old family say denying children access to Spinraza is denying them a chance to live. And as they watch SMA children in Australia go from strength to strength, it's also strengthening their resolve to get the drug to New Zealanders as soon as possible. And while they wait, Lincoln's family can only hope that their story will also have a happy ending.
Definitely have hope. Definitely have hope.
Without hope we'll have nothing.
We have hope for our son.